In this video, I'm going to talk about the question, why don't we see the world upside down? So, to be more clear about the question, uh, so let's say this round is an eye. This is a very first approximation for what the eye is. It has lenses, and we're going to ignore all of it for now and take a very simplistic view of what the eye is. Let's say this is the eye, this is the eye, and you have an object outside. So it kind of works like a pinhole camera, and when the object is reflected on your retina, it is in the opposite direction. And because it is in the opposite direction, shouldn't we be l- seeing the world upside down? That's the question that I'm going to try to answer. That is a very difficult question to answer, so I'm not going to answer it, but instead talk about specific ways in which you can think about it. I'll just give you multiple insights. The first insight is what Professor Langer gave me, uh, which is that it's not like a little person is looking from the back of your retina. So, an inherent assumption in this question is that there's kind of like a little person who's standing in the back of your retina, looking at the image on your retina and then recording it. And this is not how the brain works. So we are kind of thinking about the question in a wrong way. And I would like to think forward in this think more about this question with my second argument, which is we know that what is reflected on the retina is not what we see. The brain does some additional processing. There is a visual pathway that goes on in the brain. So, what is reflected in the retina is not what you see, and you'll have to look at how the visual pathway is before judging if you have to see the image upside down or straightforward. So, the second problem is we need to understand the visual pathway in brain better. And uh, even if we completely understand the visual pathway in the brain and we kind of detect that the brain is actually being inverted at some point in this pathway, I still think it doesn't completely answer the question why we are seeing the world upright. Because the consciousness is a mystery. I might have spelled it wrong, but forgive me. Um, what we at the present moment of time, to my understanding, we don't understand how an image is reflected in consciousness on what parts. So the brain is a complicated thing. It has lots of things going on, and we as conscious creatures, from the first person perspective, we only see specific parts of the brain, and we don't know why and how consciousness arises, and we don't know which parts of the brain are being reflected in consciousness. So even if we know that it's inverted somewhere, we are not sure that this is what is reflected in consciousness. So the brain inverting the image is one thing, and the same thing arising in your conscious first person experience is a completely different thing. So it is just not an easy question to answer.